So I released a 7-round mock draft earlier this week, and I want to kind of use this video to expand on some players that I might not have really covered in my stock report or rankings videos. So we got a sleeper video. What's crack-a-lack? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. And we're doing a watch along tomorrow. We're doing Georgia, Tennessee, battle for SEC East supremacy. Let's go. That's going to be fun. But let's go ahead and get into the Stucker, starting with Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, of all places. Arizona. This cat actually, he went to high school around where I live. So that's pretty dope. But dude was a former 3-star recruit from the 2019 class. He also, during high school, participated in shot put and decided to go to Arizona in his freshman year. He appeared in 6 games, made 2 starts, and that was in the 2019 season. In the shortened 2020 season, he started the first 2 games before missing the final 3 with an injury. Before the 2021 season, he did sustain an injury during camp, missed the opener, but played through the final 11 games with that injury, and his play has been very good this season. Only allowed 16 pressures and a sack on almost 400 pass rush and snaps, dude. This guy is just an agile mover at 6'6", 320, plays with good balance, shows a nice strong core, sinks the hips well, and just does a good job of establishing leverage versus power. Man, his length keeps quicker pass rushers at bay, and he shows good awareness, keeps that head up, good just recognition of what's going on around him, blitzes, stunts, stuff like that. Has a nice kick slide and understands blocking angles, very nice pass protector, showing a great improvement in the run game this season in particular, and just moves well, whether it's to the second level or if he's coming on like a pull-in block. I like this dude's grip strength, man, and once this dude locks onto you, you ain't going nowhere. Now, still got an early day 3 grade on him, and I think that might be a bit presumptuous for me. I feel like maybe more of the draft community will probably view him more as maybe a mid-day 3 guy. So not like it's that big of a difference, but I'm just gonna call it that I'm a little higher on him, just so you know. But as much as this guy's improved as a run blocker, he still lacks that bit of nasty the NFL loves, that mentality that just eat dirt and pump iron. I don't know if that's a metaphor. I don't think it is. But he just lacks like what we talked about with Trevor Penning last draft cycle. He doesn't dominate as a run blocker, and he could show a bit more power behind these strikes. He has the good grip strength, but there's not a lot of power behind his punches, not a lot of pop. He will wall defenders, but doesn't really drive guys back. This is a guy you typically want in motion. You again a pull and block or somewhere where maybe he's pulling to get to the second level and such. His game is essentially it's leverage, it's balance, and I don't really think he'll ever be a guy that can throw hands or be this phone booth type of blocker. So you're probably looking at an outside blocking scheme, which, hey, you're in luck, my friend. Most of the NFL runs an outside zone blocking scheme because half of them come from the Shanahan coaching tree. All right, on to the next cat here. He plays tackle, by the way. People get mad when I don't tell them where they play, but I feel like I do a good job explaining it. But who knows? I got Mike Morris, man. He's probably more known by most of the draft community, but guy I definitely want to touch on, especially today. Just saw that he's in Mel Kiper's top 25. I'm not there yet, but I guess I could be sooner or later. But Mike Morris, man, has put out one heck of a season for the Wolverines. He was a former 4-star recruit from the 2019 class. His father actually played offensive tackle at Florida State as a freshman. He didn't see any action. It only appeared in 1 game in 2020. And then in 2021, he made 4 starts, and I think a majority of that came near the end of the season when No, I think it came at the beginning. My mistake. Before David Ajabo really started to see more playing time. But this dude was a facet in the as a rotation player, regardless. He was used quite a bit, and with his size, man, like he gives you so much versatility. This guy literally plays all over the defensive line. It's almost half of his snaps in 2021 inside of the tackle. So basically playing inside of the 5-tech. In 2020, he's playing more wide 9 than ever. And you know what? He plays with a lot of strength, and he does a good job of turning his quick first step into power, man. Turning that speed into power. You love to see it. Nasty bull rusher. Pairs it up with a couple of good moves, and he's able to stack and shed very effectively. And that is just really, like, honestly, I think best seen when he's at the 3-tech. So a guy I think probably moves to the interior potentially in the NFL. I mean, dude's got the size too. His length just gives guys problems, whether you're on the outside or you're in the interior. Probably one of the better one of the better guys that helps guys off of stunts or blitzing. He's typically the guy that starts that chain reaction when they do kick him inside. Plays with a hot motor, shows great pursuit. We'll say this, despite playing a majority of his snaps on the outside in 2022, the dude that does struggle with leverage plays a bit high, 6'6". Who would have thought? And the bend, the bend's not ideal for the outside. This is why I think this guy kicks inside. Just doesn't play with a planned pass rush most of the time. Like, again, I talk about he can rattle off a couple of moves, but the toolbox of pass rush moves ain't all that great. Doesn't have many counters to his arsenal either. Sometimes he does get locked up by initial contact. And really, I don't think he plays edge. I don't, but I mean, I don't know. It's like Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance? Because honestly, the dude's been playing balls out this year, man. 29 pressures, 7 sacks. That's just ridiculous. I just really think at his best, or the best place for him in the NFL is probably 3-tech. That's what I'm saying. Next on the list is Chase Brown out of Illinois. And he might not exactly be a sleeper. He's probably the most renowned name on this list. But he's a guy I haven't talked about since, I think, my stock report video from week 0. And he was a very commonly commented name when I did my top 10 running backs, and he wasn't there. So I figured let's go ahead and talk about him here, because I do think he's a very good prospect. As Brown, he was a 3-star recruit from the 2018 class. He anchored the state championship 400-meter relay team, and he also holds school records for the 100-meter dash. His twin brother plays safety for Illinois there, Sydney. Now, Chase didn't start his his collegiate career at Illinois. He was actually at Western Michigan for a year, where he was really just a reserve, and that was his only year there. He ends up transferring to Illinois to join his brother the following season. Played 4 games before redshirting in 2019, and then in a shortened 2020 season, he was the lead back and really enjoyed his breakout campaign in 2021. As you can see, it's been going great for him at this point. Over 1,200 yards, 8 total touchdowns. Dude's having a good year, man. Really is. Now, Brown, dude hits the hole at top speed, man, and because he wants to gain yards in chunks, eats arm tackles for days, and this dude can be scary if he sees daylight. And actually, the thing I love most about him, and this isn't something like when people ask, like, what do you look for in a running back? It's like, well, that's a plethora of different things, but one of my favorite things is seeing guys that keep moving, keep churning their feet on initial contact, or while they got one or more guys on them, they're just able to keep moving their feet. It's like a Walter Payton, man. Guy that just never stopped moving his feet. I love that. Dude has the power to move piles. He can turn something into, or nothing into something, and he even produces well on poorly blocked plays. I like the vision. I like the quick feet, but when it comes to Brown, man, his broken tackles really do come in chunks. He could go cold for a spell, and I'd like to see a bit more consistency. Part of that's like, okay, man, Illinois, they're kind of a so-so run blocking team, but like, still, you want to see guys succeed in spite of that. I mean, we saw it from Breece Hall, you know, so then I wouldn't put Chase in that caliber. There are times he does get too bouncy in the backfield, and he's just probably better served heading north and south for a couple of yards than eat in a potential loss trying to find daylight moving east and west. Needs to do a lot of work as a pass protector still. I don't think that's a part of his game, and just runs that basic running back route tree, you know, screens, sweens, wheels, and such. But, like, again, a good prospect, like a guy that will be a good committee back, I think. You know, and we're in a very good running back class where there's a lot of guys that have a little extra stank or an extra something special to their game. While like Brown, I just think is very good at a lot of things. At least that's my opinion on Brown. So hopefully I'll never have to talk about it again, but I'm sure I will. On to Frank Gore. We're going to stick with the running back position. And this ain't Frank Gore. It's Frank Gore Jr. Yes, sir. And actually, I don't know if he comes out this year because he is a junior. Might likely just stay for his senior year and then get an all-star bowl. So might be a guy we see in the 2024 class, but still a dude I really want to talk about because a guy that's really succeeding in spite of the lack of talent there at Southern Miss. But dude was a 3-star recruit from the 2020 class. If you didn't know, his dad is former NFL running back Frank Gore. Do you, baby? Do you? Anytime I get to mention Hurricanes, dude, I want to. Love the Hurricanes. But in his freshman season, he became the starter after 3 games. Made the all-freshman team, made second team all-conference USA. 2021, he started every game, led the team in rushing. It's a little bit more of the same. You might look at the production. It's like, it's not that wonderful. You know, but you got to keep in mind what he's having to do there for the, what are y'all, the Golden Eagles? I don't know, Southern Miss something. Some bird. But he does a great job of forcing missed tackles, and I love that. Like, he can do it out in space, or he can do it around the line of scrimmage, man. Like, he's very light on his feet, man. I love the stop-start ability. But for a guy who's a bit smaller, you look at 5'8", 195, yeah, he's a bit smaller. He can absorb contact pretty well for a smaller back. And he just has that natural low center of gravity at 5'8" that just makes it so he doesn't really have to worry about keeping his pads low. Southern Miss doesn't have one of the best run blocking teams in college. If you didn't know, big shocker, right? So, like, often he's having to create something from nothing. And he is just dangerous with the ball in his hands, so much so that Southern Miss tries to find all kinds of ways to get him the ball. Like, you see, he's typically the go-to target in, like, the Wildcat package, and they run quite a bit of Wildcat packages. So that's a bit interesting. Thing is, with Frank Gore, I would love to see him add a bit more girth. That's right, I said it, girth. Like, if he could throw another 10 to 15 pounds on, get more so around that, like, 210 pounds, like, you feel a little bit better about him. But right now, it's like a bit of a smaller back, and honestly, just adding that girth would go a long way to easing some of the concerns that people will probably have. Is, will that contact absorption translate to the NFL level? It's like, that's all fine in Conference USA, but when he gets to the NFL, is that something he can maintain at that size, or is it something he probably needs to pack some pounds on for? Also, not very used in the passing game. Runs your typical running back route tree, but outside of that, dude, I really love this cat. Currently got a midday 3 grade on him, but I feel like he's likely to return. On to Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. Another guy that I think is likely to return for the Hawkeyes. I think this cat actually made Dane Brugler's top 1 or top 50, maybe even top 25. I'm not there with him. I really think this cat returns. Late day 2 projection on him, but dude's been very productive in a very limited role for Iowa. He was a 3-star recruit out of the 2020 class, played hockey in high school, so that guy's got a little bit of nasty to him. Redshirted his freshman season, but he played a very significant rotation role in 2021 where he had 462 snaps, and he's basically on pace for a little bit more. Like, the dude has yet to start a game. He is primarily a rotation guy, and I know Iowa, they tend to typically like to rotate their defensive line, but even in a rotation role, this guy's probably this year going to see over 500 snaps, which is good, and he's been uber productive. He's already surpassed what he did the prior year. So you like to see that. And, I mean, dude's got good size, almost 270, 6'5", but, he's got ideal length, powerful hands, defeats blocks, pulls down ball carriers just probably with one hand. That's the type of power we're talking about with this dude. Dane Brugler compared him to a grizzly bear, which I think is fairly accurate. I really do. So it's no duh, this guy's got power. He's pushing 270. But the thing is, he also shows impressive get off, a good first step, and I like the flexibility. He actually does a decent job of bending the edge, which is oh man, combine that with that those violent hands that just want to dominate at the point of attack. Then you got a guy that's that sounds kind of scary. That's kind of tempting. Tell me more. This dude has decent counters to his arsenal. He has the ability to work back inside and push the pocket well. Again, this guy's a locomotive when he maybe on a stunt play or having to kick back inside. I've seen him just manhandle centers that were just not expecting him, just oh my gosh, why? He also brings a little bit of special team experience. 2 block punts against Iowa State this year. Wild. But leverages this man's game, dude. I love it. When it comes to him, he's still a work in progress. Not exactly technically sound. Talk about his violent hands and crushing the point of contact. While his hands could be a bit more precise. His hand placement, I don't think is as accurate as it can be. But again, oftentimes with how strong he is, it doesn't even matter. But again, something you want to see maybe clean up. Could probably add more pass rush tools to the toolbox. His change of direction is a bit iffy out in space, but again, that's kind of a minor critique. That's kind of whatever. He has still been used as a rotation player here in 2022, but he's a guy that's constantly demanded more playing time. So it's he's seeing over 30, 35 snaps a game, and he's producing exceptionally well. So a guy I just don't think will come out this season, but definitely a guy to put on your radar just in case. On to, oh man, let me get the pronunciation out for this. Adetomiwa Adebawore. Whew. There we go, out of Northwestern. I don't know. I think this cat probably is an interior player, but I guess we'll talk about it. He was a 3-star recruit out of the 2019 class. Played 8 games as a freshman with 2 starts, and then 2020 started all 9 games. Started everywhere in 2021. Basically, he's been the starter since 2020, and dude's producing well. 23 pressures, 4 sacks on the year, got 2 forced fumbles. Nice size, nice strength. Love the versatility because he is a guy that kicks inside to 3-tech, or they'll even play him outside of the tackle. So he works everywhere on that defensive line for Northwestern. The athletic profile will really turn heads with this guy. Really will, and he shows good pass rush and upside, explodes off the line, and uses power and length to just bull rush tackles. Plays with a hot motor and shows no give in pursuit or run support. So you love that. I will say, one of the things coming into the year that I was a bit needs to get better was how he played the run game, and that has really improved leaps and bounds. Like at first, I was initially looking at this guy as more of a, I think early day 3 or mid day 3, and now he's for me into that top 75, close to top 50 area for me. I don't know if he'll get to top 50 for me though. This is a really good edge class. Then again, I don't know how to qualify this guy. He's just D lineman, you know. There are sometimes he will let blockers work him out of the play or work him past the play. So yeah, sometimes he'll just kind of go with the flow there. And it kind of gives the illusion of taking bad angles when it's just like it's too focused on being engaged than rather trying to disengage from blocks. There is trouble tackling out in space, but that's something you typically expect from your defensive linemen. Like their missed tackle rate's probably going to hover around like the 15 to 20%. So if it's like any higher than that, then it's like, let's see. So, but he was at 17.5 last year. This year it's much better. Ideally, honestly, 3-4 end skill set. I kind of love him there. Might need to add a little bit muscle, but not much. Like, not even muscle, just like maybe pack on like another 5 or 10 pounds. And even that's a small critique. I think this guy's an ideal 3-4 end. So big fan. If you didn't know the name, now you do. Because I think he went day 2 in my 7-round mock. Then on to Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State. Hopefully I said that right. But definitely a guy to get to know, man, that I think good chance he ends up sneaking into day 2. Because typically day 2, you're kind of willing to be like, you know what, screw it, I don't really care. Like, care about age. Is this guy is he capable of starting now for me? Sign me up. Because yeah, he is a bit on the older side. By the time he starts his NFL career, he will be 24. If you couldn't tell, 6-year senior kind of does that to you. But this cat has 8 brothers and sisters, big family. Played tight end in high school. He also played basketball, baseball, and track and field. So, dude, that was just an athlete wherever. He was actually a walk-on for the Bisons in 2017, redshirted his freshman season, and during that season, he made the transition to the offensive line, mostly, actually, I don't know if that's a word, the tackle position. He wouldn't play significant snaps in 2018 or 2019, but he made his first start in 2020. Initially, he played right tackle for the first 2 games, then he made the switch to left tackle in his 3rd start, and he's been the starter there ever since. He was a 2nd team all MVFS or MVFC in 2020, and then he was a 1st team in 2021. Used the extra year from the Rona, extra year of eligibility to go ahead and return. And this dude is good. Honestly, one of my more favorite guys coming out of here. I don't know if he's like Quinton Radins. From even Quinton Radins wasn't a guy I wasn't high on until the Senior Bowl. And we all see how that's going, right? So, but this dude's a smooth athlete. Like, dude's very light on his feet. He combines that with good length, great contact balance, and has been really one of the most feared tackles in the FCS. He packs a mean punch and is a mover in the run game. You love to see it. That's something that Radins didn't really have coming out. That was kind of the biggest concern because he was a lighter tackle when he showed up there at the Senior Bowl. But this dude plays with that nasty. Again, the NFL just loves. His work in pass protection is just nice. He's capable of mirroring speed rushers. Plays with great leverage. He's quick out the stance. He sinks the hips well. And he provides a 2-ton anchor. Good luck moving this guy off his spot. Loads of experience. Loads of high-end production, as you can tell. Only 5 pressures allowed with a sack on 182 pass in snaps. Now, I will say, for as smooth as he is, he might not have the foot speed for teams who like to pull their tackles. Might not have the foot speed that those teams desire. So I think a lot of outside zone blocking schemes may look at him and view him as a guard potentially. So there is that, or zone blocking schemes in general. Might view him more as a guard than a tackle, though I think this guy's very capable of playing tackle in the NFL. Hands are powerful, but he doesn't always hit home with his strikes. And overall, the hand usage could be a bit more precise. There are times he does struggle with waist bending. You don't love to see it. And typically that's an indication of a lack of core strength. And typically guys to combat this, because you saw it with you saw it with Charles Cross in the 2021 season. And then you saw with like Jamari Sawyer at Georgia last year. Guys will typically, like, the lack of core strength, they'll start putting their heads in to kind of like get that and they'll start putting their heads down, and they're just not aware of what else is going on around him, what's happening around him, or what is this guy trying to put on, like what move is this guy trying to put on me. So that honestly, that's kind of the big why don't put your head down. Honestly, that's my biggest concern with him. Again, the foot speed I think is sometimes it's, you get, if you're an evaluator that really loves athleticism, especially when it comes to the offensive line, typically you get by with less athletic guys. That's something I've had to tell myself constantly over the past few years, because I'm a sucker for athleticism, and typically I lean athleticism. I've had to really reel off of that, or I've been trying to reel off of that, just because you can get by being less athletic in the NFL on the offensive line. You really can. Well, mainly on the interior. But it is possible to do that on the outside as well. So again, if anything, it's the waist bending that I'm a bit more concerned with when it comes to Mauch. Hopefully I said his last name right that whole time. We'll see. Then we're going to stick with the offensive line. Graham Barton out of Duke. Another guy that might stay because he's a junior. Is he a junior? Here, let me look this up, because I don't know if I'm believing that. Yeah, 3-star recruit out of the 2020 class. Wild. So a guy that might end up staying to improve his draft stock, knowing he will have a off-season bowl for like those senior guys. But a cat that played lacrosse in high school, that's kind of cool. He was recruited as a guard. His freshman season, he played in the final 6 games, making 5 starts at center. And then in 2021, he started all 12 games at left tackle, and honestly wasn't half bad. And then this year has been exceptionally good. Honestly, a guy that probably could, there's a chance I think he can move up into early day 3 status, maybe even higher. Like, honestly, not half bad. There we go. This dude is one of the best run blockers, I would say, in the ACC. He shows great movement skills, can get out in front of screens and stretch plays with quick feet, plays with that NFL nasty, so you know the NFL will love that. He has desirable length, can mirror defenders very effectively. He came in, again, as a guard and had starts at center and tackle, so you know this is a cat that has that versatility to him, so you like to see that. Conditioning was something I put to monitor after 2021, because there were a lot of cases where when he not gave up, but like his worst play came on, like, his worst or his sloppiest play came on 3rd downs and long drives. So I was like, maybe that's something as the game goes longer, you know, he just gets less good. But this year that hasn't been the case, so love to see it. There are times he does overextend and play a bit off balance when he climbs to the second level and becomes a bit of a lunger. Kind of is what it is. His hand placement is a bit erratic, and he does open up his pads for defenders to get good leverage, so he needs to do a better job of protecting that strike zone. Still a guy that is putting on muscle, and it honestly looks a lot better this year too. So big fan of Barton, man. Big fan. Got him as currently mid-day 3. I feel like I might move that to early day 3. All right, on to Anthony Orji. If you weren't familiar with the cat yet, I know I haven't talked about him on the channel. I figured I'd talk about him here. Because who isn't a fan of orgies? I'm not. I'm a married man. But I do love this orgy. This is an orgy I could definitely get around to. Dude was a former 4-star recruit out of the 2019 class. His brother, Alston, played for Vandy, but actually this year he was a grad transfer, so now he's playing at Campbell University. So now the Orji brothers are no longer together there at Vandy. So poor little out for Alston there. It's a tough name, Alston. I think that's right. Anyway, Orji played in 9 games his freshman season, but went on to start in 9 in the 2020 season. Has been the starter ever since 2021. He led the team in tackles and tackles for loss. Looks like it's going to be a bit more of the same this year. Honestly, like the best player on that Vanderbilt team. Period. They got a couple of good receivers, though. This dude flies all over the field. Shows that sideline to sideline speed. He is a phenomenal run stuffer. He just navigates traffic with relative ease. He just has a nose for the football. You love that. Very solid blocker. Shows great timing. Did I say blocker? Blitzer. Very solid blitzer. Shows very good timing on when to time his blitz. When to be like, hey, let's go get it. And he gets it, man. Look at that. 11 pressures, 2 sacks. Very opportunistic. Once he sees a pathway, plants his foot, he goes, guns it for the quarterback. Has that athleticism, has instincts and coverage, too, to be productive at the next level. My biggest gripe, though, with him is the overall coverage prowess. A player with his athleticism, honestly, should be contesting more catches than he is. Like, you will hardly see splash plays for him or forcing completions. He's more so he's content with trying to lay the big hit on the pass catchers and just making them pay. So a guy that I think can be a bit more productive in that regard. I don't know if it's just a mentality thing of, hey, I really just want to hit, which I could get that. I could get that for linebackers, but I really think he's a guy that can actually make splash plays and coverage rather than being this whole minimal yards after catch type of linebacker. So big fan of Orji, man. Got him as late day 2. Guy that maybe could push to top 75. And then my final player on the list is at safety, Jartavius Martin, 5th-year senior for the Fighting Illini. If you didn't know, Illinois has been pumping out a lot of good defensive prospects. Not like high end, but like NFL, at least NFL caliber, guys that are like sticking to practice squads or finding themselves on the active roster. Like Illinois has been doing a good job of that. Did a good job of that last year, and they got some good talent this year as well, man. So let's go ahead and get into him. He was a 3-star recruit from the 2018 class. He goes by Quan at Illinois, so I will probably refer to him as Quan for the rest of this video. His freshman year, he played 10 games with 8 starts at corner. Played in 2019, played in all 12 games with 5 starts at corner. And then in the shortened 2020 season, this is where we see him make the move to safety. And then he played in 2021, he played in all 12 games with 8 starts in the slot, primarily played the slot that whole season. So a guy that has experience all over the secondary. He used the extra year of eligibility from the Rona to return. Here he is now. Has primarily played slot recently, but again, experience all over the secondary. He shows good range, good short area quicks to play either single high or in the slot. I love how quickly he reads and reacts and just stays on top of routes in front and behind him. The dude has a nose for the football, as you can see. This year, 9 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. Most of his ball skills are often shown off in the slot, so a guy that might get pigeonholed in the slot just because that happens to be the best position for him. Because, again, that's where he's just been a big playmaker. Plays with aggression, seeks out ball carriers in the run game. He's been a sure tackler the last 2 seasons. Another thing that might peg him in the slot. But I won't discount that you might play this guy outside at corner. I'm really viewing him probably now more as a corner slash slot. Ideally, you want more size at the safety position, which is, again, I think he plays corner. Can't help it. I put it in the notes. But honestly, you like to see a cat that has at least the versatility to play at the safety position. And honestly, like if you're playing him deep, which I don't think you want to play him deep with how good of a run defender he is and just how good he is around the line of scrimmage. Like, I feel like you want to play that guy closer to the line, so it's probably corner or slot. His aggression also, or at least his aggressive play style, will take him out of plays at times, and to minimize that, you need to keep him close to the line of scrimmage. So again, just more reason to keep him to the keep him at corner or keep him in the slot. Played outside corner in the past, so perhaps he can pull a Nate. Okay, Nate Hobbs did this. Guess what? Guess where's Nate Hobbs from? Nate Hobbs started his career in the slot. Now he's playing on the outside this year, splitting a little bit both. Nate Hobbs. Let me just check. Nate Hobbs. Oh, what school did you go to, Nate Hobbs? I was pretty confident it was Illinois. Okay, it was Illinois. Okay, I saw that he was born in Kentucky, Louisville, and I was like, oh crap, did I just crap the bet on that? Because I swore he was from Kentucky. Honestly, Nate Hobbs was the guy that put me on Illinois prospects, like defensive prospects. Because I remember I was shocked that he got drafted in, what was it, the 5th round, right? 5th round. Because I was like, I didn't evaluate this guy. Because I remember talking to Alex from Hail Mary Sports. We were watching the draft together, I think, that year. And while like I was live streaming. And I was like, man, I didn't look at Nate Hobbs at all. And then just watching him play his rookie season, I was like, holy crap. Maybe I need to look at some of these Illinois guys. And, dude, they've been producing. Looking at the defense here. Like Owen Carney Jr., I actually was a big fan of. Roger Perry was getting some love. You had Tony Adams, who was a sleeper for me. Him and Samuel Womack where'd Womack come from? Was it Toledo? Can't remember. But Tony Adams was a guy that was in one of my later sleeper lists. You had Jack Hansen, who I was actually a fan of more as a UDFA, but a guy that had I would say a decent floor. So, especially when it comes to special teams. Kirby Joseph. Oh, how did I miss Kirby Joseph? So yeah, even Kalon Tolson. Dude was kind of like a freak at his pro day. So it's like you look at that defense and then it's like, wow, this year you got Devin Witherspoon. They have a defensive interior prospect who probably doesn't come out this year. I don't even know if he's eligible this year, but he's kind of blowing up and might end up being like a day 2 or even day 1 prospect in 2024. So it's like, dang, Illinois, when y'all get so good on defense? Like, and again, Nate Hobbs turned me on to it, and now we're covering Quan Martin here today. But I believe that's our last prospect, which means that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. I feel like I was talking forever, but I love talking football. Hopefully you love talking football with me. Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, till next time, hopefully tomorrow, watch along. Till then, be easy, my friends. Later.